What's up, guys? In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to count phrases. And I'm also going to show you how to identify the one. So first of all, what's a phrase? Well, you can kind of think of a phrase as like a sentence in music, where you have the beats being the letters, and then the bars being the words, and then a series of bars makes up a sentence or a phrase. Check it out. A phrase is a group of bars. The amount of bars in each phrase varies depending on what part of the song it is and what genre of music it is. In hip-hop, rock, pop, and other vocal-based music, the phrases are generally 2, 4, 8, or 16 bars long. In electronic dance music, such as house, techno, trance, drum and bass, and dubstep, phrases are generally a bit longer with 8, 16, 32, or 64 bar phrases. The one is the first beat in the phrase. This is the beat that you want to drop your next song on. Most songs give you a musical clue as to where the beginning of the phrase is by bringing in a new recurring sound like a cymbal pattern, a guitar riff, or vocals. For example, in electronic dance music, you'll usually hear a little clue, like an extra drum fill every 4 bars, then a bigger clue, like a cymbal crash every 8 bars, and then a huge clue, like bringing in a whole new instrument, like a new melodic instrument, a drum roll, or a big cymbal crash, like a big fill before the beat drops, every 16 or 32 bars. When you first start out, you may have to count every bar in the phrase to know where you are in the song. However, over time, and with the help of the musical clues, you'll be able to feel the phrases and instinctively know where the one is in each phrase without even having to count. Okay, so now we're going to count some phrases, and just know that ultimately you're going to get to a point where you can instinctively feel the changes with the little musical clues like I talked about in the animation, so you won't always have to count. But first we're going to start counting every bar and every phrase, and then we'll get you up to that point. So I have this house track right here, and it's by Powwax. It's called Shaolin, and we're just going to count from the beginning, and I'm going to take you through it step by step. So we're going to start right on the one. So let's make sure it's queued up. The very first one. And then I'm going to show you how to identify the one of the next phrase. So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right there we had our first musical clue. So that was 4 bars in, and we had a little cymbal sound that was like kind of like a backward cymbal. It was like shh. So that could be a clue for the next phrase to start, or it could be like a clue that we're in the middle of the phrase. So there's clues sometimes in the middle, and then the bigger clues are at the end. So little clues in the middle, bigger clues in the end. So let's see what this is. So we're going to rewind it. And now we're going to count all the way up to 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was a much bigger change on the 8th bar, and that was like a snare hit. It was like hitting twice, bap, bap, and some sounds dropped out at that time. So that was kind of creating a little buildup into the one of the next phrase. So if you think about it, that little mini sound in the beginning, in the middle, that little cymbal sound wasn't necessarily the one of the next phrase. So right now we have a full 8-bar phrase, and that little cymbal sound was in the middle. And you can also see it in the sound wave. So let's go over here, and I'll just jump back here, and you can see that cymbal sound. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So you can see that right here. See the colors changing? And then here we are, and it looks different. So you can also see the little clues in addition to hearing them. 6, and you can see the numbers here. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. So here you see this blue area right here, and that's building up, and those 2 snare hits into that big one. And now look at all these sounds that were just added in right here. So this part of the sound wave looks so much different than this part of the sound wave. So we're definitely in a new phrase, but we aren't sure if it's set in 8-bar phrases or 16-bar phrases. So right now, this is a distinctive 8-bar phrase, but let's keep listening to see what happens next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there was a little change in between that 8-bar phrase, but it was so small. And then at the very end of that 8-bar phrase, we had the snare hits again, and then everything dropped out into like sort of a breakdown. So let's look at the sound wave right here. So we'll jump back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that little change in the middle was just the melody changing just slightly. It was like ding, 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 ding. And so it was like a little bit different than the repetitive loop that had been playing for the first 3 bars. So sometimes the clues are really tiny and they could be anywhere with any instrument. It doesn't always have to be the drums, okay? So then when we keep going, then we'll see that big change leading into the 1 of the next phrase. So here's that little synth. Seven, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. And see right here, we had that bop, 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 and some of the sounds dropped out, and then it went into like sort of a like a cymbal or like a sort of explosion sounding sound, and then dropping into all different sounds and a lot less sound. So. Right? So this is called the breakdown. So there we had 2 8-bar phrases. So remember, we had the first set of 8 bars and then the next set of 8 bars, making a full 16-bar phrase. Now there is a 1 in the middle of that, starting the next 8-bar phrase, right? But the biggest change was at the beginning of that breakdown. So you would think of this song as having a 16-bar intro using a 16-bar phrase. So let's continue listening and see if it continues on that 16-bar track in terms of phrasing. So we're going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there was a very big change because it broke down and then started bringing in like this new melodic synth sound and adding more sounds after the 4th bar. So then you're like, okay, is this song in now 4-bar phrases? Well, let's keep counting. So here, you can see that here. It's breaking down, right? And the kick drum comes back in too. So let's count from the 4th and see, from the 1 again and see how far it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we got a clap coming in, okay? So it sounds like it might have just stuck a 4-bar phrase and then started, but let's keep listening to see if it lines up with the total 16 bars. So let's start counting from that clap sound. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so now you see that even though it sounded like it was a 4-bar section separate from the rest, it all added up to 16 because it was really 2 8-bar phrases, which is just like the intro, which was 16. So now we're seeing that this song is likely produced mostly in 16-bar phrases. So let's count again from here because it's building up, and I believe that this is going to be 8 bars. So really this whole breakdown section is actually 24 bars because if you look right here, you can see it. You can see right here And even if we put it horizontal, you might be able to see better. So here, this right here is 8 bars, and then this right here is 8 bars, and here's that little 4-bar breakdown, but it actually added up to 8 right here, because then here's 8 more bars. So it's 16 and 16, or 8, 8, 8, and 8. And then you look at this section, and look at that, the size of it. Now we can tell that this kind of looks like the length of this right here, meaning this is most likely 8 bars, and then going into the drop. So 8 times 3 is 24, which means you can also look at this in 8-bar phrases. So it's really just how you want to look at it. But the biggest ones, the biggest changes are usually on the 16 bars, because we had a very big change right here. And then we have sort of like an 8-bar bridge. That's what they call like a bridge from one section to another section of the song into the drop. So let's listen to that 8 bars, and then we'll go into the drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so that was a big main 1 at the drop, when like the main part of the song dropped. So you can think of that as like an 8-bar phrase. And then here we have a phrase of 16 and a phrase of 16. And then here, this is most likely 16. So let's count the main part of the song. Big dropout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a change. 6, 7, 8, 2, 3. Bigger change. 2, 3, 4. Little changes coming. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. And a huge change, right? So there were little changes throughout, and then there was a bigger change with that next 8-bar phrase. So it is sort of divisible by 8, and you can think of it as 8-bar phrases, but the main phrase is 16 bars going into that breakdown again. So we have the breakdown right here, and you can see it's totally visible. You can see it even on the small waveform. Now you could count all the way up to 16, so 15, 2, 3, 4, 16, 2, 3, 4, but it's easier to think of it in sections of 8, because everything's sort of divisible by 8. I mean, technically it's divisible by 2 and by 4 as well, but everything's divisible by 8 in terms of these 16-bar phrases, and you can think of them in groups of 8, but then 2 groups of 8 making 16, because you can see the structure of the song, you can see it on the sound waves. 16, it's all happening. Here's 16, there's that 8-bar bridge, and then 16 again. So just to clarify that. You try it both ways, and you can see what works best for you, but what helps me is just to think of it in groups of 8. So you go through a bunch of different types of music, and whether it's music you want to eventually start DJing or not, but just to get used to counting phrases, beats, bars, and phrases. Like I said in the last lesson, I encourage you to go through a lot of different genres of music, and you can hear how a lot of genres stick to different phrasing patterns. So like I said, like electronic dance music like house, techno, even drum and bass, and music like that doesn't always have to be 4 on the floor. It can be broken beat, but more in the electronic genres, they have longer phrases. And a lot of that's another reason why you actually mix longer with electronic dance music a lot of the time. Whereas hip hop, and like a lot of breaky stuff, not necessarily electronic dance music breaks, but like just hip hop, pop, rock, stuff like that are shorter phrases, because they have like verse, chorus, and so the verse is typically 16 bars, the chorus is typically 8 bars, sometimes 4. So you got 4, 8, and 16. Once in a while you'll have 32, but that's how that goes. Now let's count some phrases with this track right here. It's a different kind of track. So you see right here, even before we start counting, you can see it's broken up into sections. So I'm guessing that this is maybe 4 or 8 bars because it's a smaller section, and this is maybe like 8 or 16. But we won't know for sure until we count. So let's count it. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was 8 bars. That was a phrase of 8 bars. However, did you notice, like in the middle, on the 5th bar, a new sound came in? We got our clap coming in and some percussion. So here you see number 5. And then no sound. So all the sounds dropped out, sort of giving you a clue that the one was coming of the next phrase, the big magic one, right? So let's keep listening. So now that we know, first of all, now that we know that this is 8 bars, because we just counted it, now you can look at the track and be like, okay, well, that's about half of that, right? So this is 16 bars, and then this looks like a phrase of 16 bars, and another phrase of 16 bars, and 16, and 16, and 16. So we have like an 8-bar intro, right? And then it goes into phrases of 16 bars, or 2 groups of 8 stuck together, okay? So let's keep listening. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So that was just a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing, right? So this is telling me that these phrases are in 16. 2 groups of 8, so we're going to count 8 twice. But we have a little sound right here, so check this out. 2, 3, 4. So it was like a little drum fill, like a ba-doom, boom, 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 right? Right? So that was a little difference. And I'm not even counting now, and I'm going to know. So it had a little bit of a dropout of one instrument and a little, so tiny. So that was the middle of the 16-bar phrase. So we just counted 8. So we weren't counting, but I heard that little fill, boom, 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 boom. So that told me that was in the middle of the 8-bar phrase, right? Starting again, 8 bars. So that's 4. So what do you think that was? That was the one, like the big one of the next phrase, right? Going into it. So you can see here that we have 2 8-bar phrases stuck together, making a full 16-bar phrase. And when it's just a tiny little change, you can see that, yes, we're still counting in groups of 8, but they're stuck together, making a full 16-bar phrase. And then the big change happens at the end of that phrase, going into the next one, right? So depending on how you're mixing and how you're putting your songs together, you can sort of choose which one you want to bring it in on, depending on how the other song starts, how long the intro is. So when you're first starting out, you will probably have to count every beat and every bar to know where you are in the song and every phrase. But the more you practice, you're just going to be able to feel where it is. You'll just know where the one is, and that's where you want to get. So listen to tons of music and really get into counting the beats, bars, and phrases. And the better you are at that, the easier it will be later when you're starting to put your mixes together and, beat matching and mixing and all that sort of thing.